Hey everybody, it's Captain Kyle and I'm here again with Sky to do a versus review. We have the Generations Jhiaxus versus the Legacy Jhiaxus. And I've been looking forward to this for a while. We're gonna compare these two, we're gonna break them out of these plastic prisons and see if one or both belong in your collection. And you decide which is better. Be right back. So as I mentioned, I've been looking forward to this for a bit. I managed to pick this up a couple weeks before this showed up in the mail, and I was very tempted to open this ahead of time, but I did not because I wanted to open it up here and do a full comparison. We do have in the package the Jhiaxus from the Generations line. Now, I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure this is just a repaint of Armada Generations Starscream. It wouldn't be the first time Jhiaxus was repainted, because there was the Beast Machines Jetstorm repaint, who's also known as Jhiaxus, and in similar colors to this. And of course we have the brand new Legacy one, and hopefully he'll have weapons. I peeked down, looks like the weapons are there. But a fun fact about Jhiaxus, I had confirmed something I had heard through the grapevine with Simon Furman himself about the origins of Jhiaxus's name. Is it true Jhiaxus is actually a kind of play on words from G-Ax-Us?
Yeah, it was kind of just, it was a little bit of that, I mean, it's always difficult coming up with names, but yeah, we played that with that one a little bit, because we always suspected we may not get a very long run on G2.
So there you go. Right from the man himself. Now let's start out. I know you want me to dig into the Legacy one, and I will, but first we're gonna start out with the Generations one. And it does contain a comic book. Be careful, Sky. I don't wanna cut you. You're not helping me keep you safe. Now it includes a comic book, which means that this Jhiaxus is comic accurate to whatever IDW put out in this thing. Ooh. I know the Legacy one's more comic accurate to what Simon originally put out, but we'll get there. There he is in his plastic. Let's get rid of this shit. No. And take a look at this figure with his two identical weapons. So there he is in robot mode, and Sky seems to like him, but a pretty cool figure thus far. You can also swing forward his, I guess these are missile launchers, and it is interesting because he has the ports that look like a minicon. Hello, should go on there. And he apparently has missiles inside here. And I guess the missiles are supposed to launch? Ah, no, for me. You have to really push forward on these. Nope, these are not for you. You have to really push forward on these back parts to have those go shooting out. So, and they're obviously not spring loaded. They have the little knobs, so it's like plastic loaded. I don't know. So these things don't apparently come out to form swords. So he's got the two guns, he's got the two missile launchers built into his shoulders, but you really need to push those back in too. So it takes a bit of force. As far as armaments, he's good. As far as posability, his head, well, let me flip this back to have easier access. His head's a little stiff, but it does turn. Watch it fall off now. His arms, well, he bends at the elbow, he swivels. His shoulders can go up pretty far. And of course, full range of motion back and forth. So the arms are pretty good. I mean, you can't go too far behind because of the wings, but that's pretty good. As far as twisting, there is no twisting. He's not built that way. Now, if you flip these up, it looks like he can do a full Jean-Claude Van Damme. Now he's got these tail fins on his shins, so really good for kneeing somebody in the groin, don't you think? Of course, he can do side kicks, roundhouse kicks, whatever kicks you want him to do. The back view, you can see his legs are kind of hollowed out, but beyond that, up or down, he doesn't look too bad from the back, but the hollowed out legs are kind of meh. But he's a fearsome looking warrior. He's got some nice detailing. His face is very reminiscent of the original Jhiaxus. And he's got some nice detailing under the wings. Looks like mechanical stuff. but he's very orange. So, you know, pumpkin spice Jhiaxus, 'tis the season. So he stands pretty well. He doesn't have the swiveled ankles, but because of the way his feet are, he can get into some dynamic poses. So let's put him aside for a moment and take a look at the robot mode of Legacy Jhiaxus. Pretty big box. Now you can already see on the back his robot mode and his coloration. Very similar to what was shown in the G2 comic, and almost garish enough to be a G2 European. I guess that makes sense since Simon's from Europe. Pull him out, get rid of that fucking thing, whatever that is. So in the packaging, he's got the weapons on either side, a little further down in there, so not so easy for people to steal. I mean, this new packaging, I guess it's a little more environmentally safe. Yes, careful, Sky. And getting him out can be a bit of a pain in the ass. So there he is in all his robotic glory. He's got these wings on his feet. Namor. The plastic feels, I don't know, a little lighter weight than the plastic from the Generations one. But still, he's a good looking figure. Working from the top down, his head turns quite easily. His arms, well, the shoulders can go out, forward, bends at the elbow, they swivel. Now, interestingly, he cannot, you can push his gun forward, but he can't move it to the side. You need, if he wants to shoot over here, he's gotta use the swivel in the upper arm, but that's actually very similar to his Generations counterpart. Now, I'm seeing that the elbow is kind of loose for the right hand, so that's not a good thing. Much tighter for the left. He can twist at the waist, so I suppose that makes it easier if you do want to shoot over here without turning his feet. He bends at the knee, of course. He can do pretty much a full Jean-Claude Van Damme. I mean, his legs are slightly bent outwards because of the nature of the joint, but good posability, all kinds of kicks can be done. I like Cobra Kai. Yeah! And he does have the swivels in the ankles, so he can stand with his legs spread wide open, wah, and still be very stable. So the fist seems a little loose on that end, a little loose for both of them. So far, quality control wise, I'm not super thrilled with those aspects. He may look a lot like the comic depiction, but there are definitely some issues. And his wing just popped off. Luckily, it should pop right back on without a problem. From the back, he's pretty bland, but not a lot of kibble, not a lot of empty space, so he doesn't look like a shell of a bot. I do like the detailing on his legs, and the cockpit is nice and detailed. And he's got this interesting shoulder cannon type thing. And the face looks good, so nice face. The look is good, just some looseness in the joints, which there could be some ways to remedy that shit. All right, side by side, you can see that the Legacy towers over the Generations version. Much larger, much bulkier. He looks more like a minion, he looks more like a leader. Just saying. But both are nice looking bots. All right, let's check out the alt modes, because I'm not exactly sure. Is he a jet? Is he a spaceship? I don't know. But they're alt modes. So there's Generations Jhiaxus in his jet mode. He actually does have landing gear, which is nice, but I'm gonna put that away for now, because he's not landing. But a cool jet. Definitely gives the Armada Starscream vibe. Again, not quite Armada Starscream, but similar. And obviously you could launch his missiles from here. His guns store underneath the wings, which is cool. And they plug right in there, so he has side guns. Nice detailing, nice Decepticon symbols, and great detailing on the wings. The cockpit, again, nice and shiny. And the black groin killers slash tail fins, you know, make a nice contrast. They're nice and shiny. So overall, a good vehicle mode, and having the weapon storage is very nice. The weapon storage, and they're usable, supposedly. I mean, I can't actually fire them because they're not real. Now, obviously, posability wise, you know, it's a jet, you fly. Phew. I don't know where Sky went, so don't ask. She might be back. But yeah, a nice jet. I think it's pretty cool. And the transformation was not too difficult, but the wings are very movable. They can like move back and forth, so just be aware of that when you're transforming him, that the wings are in the right spot. I'm not sure how I feel about the movable wings. So there is Legacy Jhiaxus in his spacecraft fighter mode, whatever he is. Now the transformation was pretty clever, which I'm beginning to expect from the newer line of Transformers. A lot of things flip around and allow things to collapse in on each other, which is a good thing. So you can get some really neat transformations with the techniques they're using. Now he does have weapon storage. The big gun goes in the front here, and that is intimidating. I don't know how aerodynamic it is, but it is intimidating. The other gun goes on the side, and again, I've said this before, I'm not a big fan of having one gun on one side and not having a matching gun on the other. I think they should have given him 2 of these guns just to have an extra one. Maybe they could merge together into a bigger handgun or something like that. So I like symmetry, especially when you're talking about an aerodynamic jet. I mean, somebody's over here, fine, he can shoot him. Somebody's over here, he's got to like turn all the way over here. So, but overall, it's a pretty cool jet. The bottom, you can see this little angled thing, which is not symmetrical, which again, it's not really visible from the top, so it's not that big of a deal. But you can see the shell of the cockpit. So, I mean, it's a Transformer. What do you want? It still lands, looks good. It's got some nice jets back here with the red inside. Nice detailing, again, carried over from the robot mode. These little ankle wings, they must be purely ornamental. I don't think they have a purpose in jet mode unless maybe some weird flaps. I think it's mainly so he could show how much of a fanboy of the Submariner he is. Black Panther 2, coming soon. So a cool jet, again, I don't know if I showed the bottom of this. I probably briefly did, but not as much kibble as this, or at least hollowness, but they're both cool jets. We'll bring out the landing gear for you. Now, side by side, you can see, of course, big surprise, Legacy is much larger than the Generations. Of course, the coloration of the Generations is a little more uniform than the G2 European vibe that we get from Jhiaxus over here. Now, one thing, whereas this one has standard Decepticon symbols, there is a G2 Decepticon symbol on Jhiaxus, which is interesting because he's really not a Decepticon in the comic. He's a Cybertronian, he's not friends with Megatron, not part of that faction, not exactly friends with Optimus either, but I guess in this case they decided to give him a little Decepticon symbol. It's a nice touch because it is an actual G2 Decepticon symbol, but not as accurate as you might think. So obviously this is bigger, more in keeping with the Generation 2 original comic book. This is not your father's Autobot. Well, he's a Decepticon. Well, he's not. And of course this was comic accurate to the IDW one that they put out, but that was just because they put out the new toy. Unfortunately, I don't think Simon's getting any money based on the sales of this figure, even though he came up with the, albeit ironic, name. Now, if you want to get one of these, he was not much. I found him actually in a store, in a toy store, and I think he cost me about 25 bucks, so he wasn't bad. What he's going to be on eBay for this Generations one, I have no idea. I will put a link, though, in the description. This guy goes for like 30 something. I mean, he's a little more Voyager size than Override, but you know, he's like a leader, so I guess they did make him a little bit bigger. But to get him, you're gonna have to pretty much, I put some links down the bottom. You might be able to get them on Amazon or Walmart, or go to the store, or even eBay if need be. Might still be some on Hasbro Pulse. But what do you think? I mean, obviously this is closer to the G2 comic. This is a design based on, well, a version of Armada Starscream, but it's still, don't run away. it's still a cool version. Which one do you like better? Which one do you think makes more sense? And let me know in the comments below. And while you're deciding if you want to get both of these or just one, I understand. There's some other videos over here. There's a subscribe button down there. And if you'd like to support this channel, we'd love it if you'd give us a super thanks. That'd be great. And of course, like, share, all the things. We'll see you next time. As always, have fun and good hunting.